Okay. What we discussed yesterday? Yesterday we discussed about difference between Java configuration and annotation based configuration. Okay, in today class we will discuss another important topic. This is very important topic, that is dependency injection. Okay, today we will discuss topic called dependency injection. So please listen carefully. This topic is very important. Okay, so ఇక్కడ చాలా మంది ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అటెండ్ అవుతున్నారు. ఓకే, సో 3+ years వాళ్ళకి definitely they will ask what is dependency injection and what is the purpose of dependency injection. Okay, so listen carefully. Today class is very important. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
సో ఎవరికి ఏమైనా అర్థం కాకపోతే వెంటనే అడగండి. సో ఇంకా నేను చెప్పకపోయిన టాపిక్ అడగండి. ఓకే, మీకు తెలిసిన టాపిక్లు డౌట్లు ఏమి అడగండి. మీకు తెలిసిన టాపిక్లు కావాలంటే సాటర్డే అయినా సండే అడగండి. సో నేను ఈరోజు చెప్పిన క్లాస్లో ఏమైనా డౌట్ ఉంటే వెంటనే అడగండి. Dependency injection. Any idea about dependency injection? So what is the use of Spring IOC container inversion of control? What is the use of IOC container?
We create objects.
Correct. So Spring IOC container, it automatically create the objects. Okay, then after creating the objects, the main purpose of dependency injection. Okay, the main purpose of dependency injection is inject one class object into another class. Okay, inject one class object into another class. How it will inject means, injecting means what? See, dependency injection is a design pattern, okay, on which dependency of the object is injected by the framework rather than created by object itself is called IOC container. See, first of all, you need to know about the difference between IOC container and dependency injection. The use of inversion control is IOC container is it automatically create the objects and manages those life cycle. Okay, the IOC container purpose is it automatically create the objects and manages the life cycle of the Spring Bean. Okay, so don't use object terminology. So instead of object we can use Spring Beans. Okay, so inversion of control automatically create beans and manages the life cycle of the Spring Bean. Okay, that is the inversion of controller. And dependency injection is by using this inversional controller, after creation of object, it inject one class object into another class. Okay, it injects and it uses one class object into another class. See, for example, we have two classes, class user out and system.out.println user home. Next, class address. So home is nearly Martahalli. So this is the address, this is the user. Okay, user wants to know his address. User wants to know his address. Then you need to create object. need to create object in this address equal to new address. Next, address dot method create చేయాలి. Public void method home. This is the method. So user inside this user class, he need to use this address method. Okay, inside this user class, he needs to use address method. So simply he created object and use that method. By using that object, he called that method. This is the actual process in Java. But in Spring Boot, okay, that means this user is the dependent. User is the dependent. Address is the dependency class. Okay, user is the dependent class. Why? Because this user class is dependent on address class. Address is the dependency class of user class. This is the either dependency class or target class. This address is the okay. So user is the dependent class, address is the dependency class. So this injection and creation of this address class is used in another class. This process is called injection. Okay, this is called dependency injection. Okay, there are multiple ways are there. There are 3 types of dependencies injections are available in Spring framework. This is the dependency injection. Constructor based dependency injection, field based dependency injection. So this process is called dependency injection. Okay, this user is the dependent class, address is the dependency class. Okay, this user class wants to use another class, then this means user class dependency is address class. Then we are injecting this address class into user class. We are injecting this address class into user class. This process is called dependency injection. So dependency injection ante em doubt లేదు కదమ్మా? Any doubt? Dependency injection ante ఏమైనా doubt ఉందా లేదా? కరెక్ట్గా ఇంకోసారి తెలుగులో చెప్తాను వినండి. యూజర్ ఇస్ ద డిపెండెంట్ క్లాస్. ఓకే, అంటే యూజర్ క్లాస్ అనేది అడ్రస్ క్లాస్ మీద డిపెండెంట్ అయ్యింది. ఓకే, ఈ యూజర్ ఈ అడ్రస్ తెలుసుకోవాలంటే యూజర్ ఈజ్ డిపెండెంట్ ఆన్ దిస్ అడ్రస్ క్లాస్. ఈ అడ్రస్ క్లాస్ ఇస్ ద డిపెండెన్సీ క్లాస్. ఓకే, ఎందుకంటే ఈ యూజర్ క్లాస్ అనేది ఈ క్లాస్ ని యూజ్ చేసుకుంటుంది. దట్ మీన్స్ యూజర్ క్లాస్ వాంట్స్ టు యూజ్ దిస్ అడ్రస్ క్లాస్. ఓకే, this is dependency class. Okay, address class is the dependency class. ఎందుకంటే యూజర్ క్లాస్ అనేది అడ్రస్ క్లాస్ ని యూజ్ చేసుకుంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ ఈ అడ్రస్ క్లాస్ ని ఈ యూజర్ మెథడ్ లో యూజ్ చేసుకునేదాన్ని మనం ఇంజెక్ట్ చేసే ప్రాసెస్ ని ఇంజెక్షన్ అంటారు. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ మనం ఏం చేసాం, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఆ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ద్వారా ఈ మెథడ్ ని కాల్ చేసాం. ఓకే, ఇది జావా ఇంజెక్షన్ ప్రాసెస్. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ మనం ఏం చేసాం, ఈ క్లాస్ ని ఇక్కడ ఇంజెక్ట్ చేసాం జావాలో. సో దిస్ ప్రాసెస్ ఈజ్ కాల్డ్ డిపెండెన్సీ ఇంజెక్షన్. ఓకే, బట్ ఇన్ స్ప్రింగ్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ we have 3 types of dependency injection. So the first one is constructor based injection. Second one is setter based injection. Third one is field injection. injection. So this is the three ways of dependency injection. First one is constructor injection, second one is setter based injection, third one is field injection. So anyone explain what is dependency injection? What is dependency injection?
Inject from one class object to the another class object. Okay.
How many ways of dependency injections are there?
There are three types of dependency injection, like constructor-based injection, setter-based injection, and field injection.
Okay, and so ఇది Java, but in Spring framework ఏం చేస్తుందంటే it enables loose coupling between components. Okay, two different classes మధ్యన మనం here Javaలో we are creating objects. Okay, that means it is a tight coupling, right? Without creating of objects, we are not using this class. That means it is a tight coupling. But in Spring Framework, dependency injection enables loose coupling between the classes. In Spring Framework, it enables loose coupling between the classes. Okay, so how to create అంటే జావాలో ఎలాగ డిపెండెన్సీ ఇంజెక్షన్ అంటే వితౌట్ యూజింగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ ఇంజెక్షన్ ఎలా చేయాలి, విత్ యూజింగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ ఇంజెక్షన్ ఎలా చేయాలి అనేది ఇప్పుడు ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ చూడండి. సో చూడండి, డిపెండెన్సీ ఇంజెక్షన్ అంటే స్ప్రింగ్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్లో దట్ ఇట్ ప్రొవైడ్స్ ద డిపెండెన్సీస్. ఓకే, ఇట్ ప్రొవైడ్స్ ద డిపెండెన్సీస్ అంటే నార్మల్గా ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్. ఓకే, డిపెండెన్సీస్ అంటే వితౌట్ ఆ క్లాస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ని క్రియేట్ చేయకుండా జస్ట్ ఇంజెక్ట్ చేసే ప్రాసెస్ని డిపెండెన్సీ ఇంజెక్షన్ అంటారు. ఓకే, ఆ క్లాస్ అనేది ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేయకుండా, ఓకే, దట్ ఏ క్లాస్ without creating objects, it uses another class, that is called dependency injection. చూడండి, dependency injection provides the చూడండి, ఇది dependency injection reduce coupling between multiple objects as is dynamically injected by the framework. Okay, that means tight coupling అంటే we need to create objects, that is tight coupling. Okay, this user wants to use this address method, means user class must needs to create address class object, otherwise we can't call this method. Okay, but in Spring Framework this is the tight coupling. Okay, but in Spring Framework it reduce the coupling. Okay, అంటే tight coupling నుండి loose coupling చేస్తుంది. Okay, it reduce the coupling between multiple objects as is dynamically injected by the framework. ఎలా చేస్తుందంటే బై యూజింగ్ 3 ways of injection. ఓకే, మనం ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేయకుండా కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ద్వారా మనం ఇంజెక్ట్ చేయొచ్చు, సెటర్ బేస్డ్ ఇంజెక్షన్ ద్వారా ఇంజెక్ట్ చేయొచ్చు, ఫీల్డ్ బేస్డ్ ఇంజెక్షన్ ద్వారా కూడా ఇంజెక్ట్ చేయొచ్చు. వితౌట్ క్రియేటింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ వీఆర్ ఇంజెక్టింగ్ ది dependencies by using these ways. We are inject the dependencies by using these ways. Okay, without creating the objects we are injecting the dependencies by using these ways. How we are injecting అనేది నేను చెప్తున్నాను. Spring IOC container uses dependency injection to inject one object into another object. సో ఇది ఎలాగో మీకు చెప్పాను. నెక్స్ట్ there are mainly 3 types of dependency injection: constructor injection, setter injection and field injection. So ఇది కొంచెం థియరీ. Dependency is nothing but an object usually requires objects of other class to perform its operations. Okay, we call these dependencies. ఇది అర్థమైందమ్మా? నేను ఇక్కడ ఆల్రెడీ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశాను. డిపెండెన్సీ అంటే ఏంటంటే చూడండి, an ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అంటే ఏ క్లాస్ యూజువల్లీ రిక్వైర్స్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ అదర్ క్లాస్. అంటే ఈ క్లాస్ యొక్క మెథడ్ని యూజ్ చేసుకోవాలని ఉంటుంది. ఏదైనా ఆపరేషన్ పర్ఫామ్ చేయాలంటే ఈ యూజర్కి ఈ అడ్రస్ అంటే ఆ హోమ్ తెలియాలి అంటే ఈ నీడ్స్ టు క్రియేట్ అడ్రస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. ఓకే, inside this address object he need to call this home method, then only he can able to perform his operation. Okay, otherwise he can't. In the same way, an object usually requires object of other classes to perform its operation. Okay, user class ki ఈ home class method call అవ్వాలి అంటే he needs to create another object or he needs to use another class method. This process is called dependency injection in Java, but in Spring framework this is the tight coupling, right? In Java this is the tight coupling process, but in Spring framework it makes loose coupling, and there are 3 ways to make loose coupling. Okay, that means without creation of objects also we can inject one bean into another bean, one object into another object. That is dependency. Injection is nothing but the process of providing the required dependency to an object. This is the injection. 3 types of injections are there. First one is constructor injection. Constructor injection uses the constructor. Constructor ante telusu kada mi andarki. What is constructor?
Assigning values to the variables.
Constructor inject constructor injection uses the constructor to inject dependency on any spring managed bean. Constructor injection uses the constructor to inject dependency on any spring managed bean. సో కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ అంటే ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పను, తర్వాత మీరు యూట్యూబ్లోకి వెళ్ళి చూసుకోండి. కన్స్ట్రక్టర్కి నేను చెప్పింది ఏంటంటే ఫస్ట్ ద కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ నేమ్ అండ్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ మస్ట్ బి సేమ్. ఓకే, బట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ మెథడ్ కూడా సేమ్గా ఉంటుంది, బట్ రిటర్న్ టైప్ ఉండదు. కన్స్ట్రక్టర్కి రిటర్న్ టైప్ ఉండదు. ఓకే, సో ఈ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్లో మనం పారామీటర్స్ కూడా పాస్ చేయొచ్చు. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్ ఈస్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ అండ్ constructor name both are same. Class name and constructor name both are same, and it looks like method, but the return type for constructors return type is not there. Constructors ki return type undakudadu. Okay, and the another thing is normal ga constructor is used to initialize an object. ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ని ఇనిషియలైజ్ చేయడానికి యూజ్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్. సో మీకు ఇంకా క్లారిటీగా కావాలంటే వెబ్సైట్స్లో కానీ యూట్యూబ్లో కానీ చూసుకోండి. Now I will give one small example. So for dependency injection, I will create another project. Okay, project Spring framework లో ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఎలా క్రియేట్ చేస్తారో కరెక్ట్గా చూసుకోండి. ఈ స్ప్రింగ్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ న్యూ ప్రాజెక్ట్, dependency injection project. Okay. Select Java, Maven, select Java versions. So group ID is nothing but the package name. Group ID is nothing but the package name. Artifact ID is nothing but the project name. Create. Create చేసాం. But if you want to do any basic Spring applications, we need to inject two dependencies. We need to inject two dependencies. What are those dependencies? Bhargav, Priyanka, Mohan.
Spring context.
Correct. Spring core and Spring context. 1 minute and water తాగుతాను. Spring core and Spring context. We need to add those two dependencies. From where we need to add those two dependencies?
Maven repository.
Correct. In Maven repository, it have all the dependencies, not only these two. In Maven repository, see, this is the Maven central repository. Inside that, we need to add Spring core. See, like this, we need to search any dependencies. Based on the requirement, we need to add those dependencies. Okay, here Spring core. We need to select version, copy and paste in here. Okay, like this, we need to add all the dependencies, all the required dependencies in pom.xml. Okay, next one. Now I will tell without dependency injection. Okay, now I will give without dependency injection one example, with dependency injection one example. New class. So new class main service is the one class. So inside that, public void send message. This is the message. Out void sending email. Okay, here I create one method and I add the one. I create one class and I add the one method called send message. Next, new class message sender. So in message sender, I want to use this email service. Then what we need to do? First, email service. Next, we need to create one constructor. Public constructor ఏది ఉంటుంది?
Class name and method. Class name and constructor name is.
Return type ఉంటుందా? For constructor, return type is
No return type.
not there. For constructor, return type is not there. So directly we will give method name. It's class name. Message sender. Okay. So email service అని చెప్పి ఒకటి క్రియేట్ చేశా. నెక్స్ట్ ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే సో ఈ మెసేజ్ సెండర్ క్లాస్ లో ఓకే ఇన్సైడ్ దిస్ మెసేజ్ సెండర్ క్లాస్ I use this email service. I create this field. Okay, I created this field and instance. So and I also created one constructor. Inside this constructor I called one email service. I passed this email service. Okay, I passed this email service class as a argument. Next, public void send message email service dot send message. Inside this send message method I called another method. Okay, inside this send message method I called another send message which is available in email service class. Okay, next I need to create object for the message sender. ms equal to new message sender. New ms equal to new message sender. So inside this message sender we are using email services. Either we manually created email service object, email service. Okay. New email service. We created an object for email services and we pass this object inside the message sender argument. Then it calls the email service data. Okay, now run the method. Sorry, ms dot in send message. Inside the send message method we have send message class. We have send message method. This send message method which is available in email service class. This send message method is present in email service class. Okay, ikkada I will give send data message sender lo dot send data. See, sending email. Okay, but this is the tight coupling. Okay, why it is tight coupling means in message sender class it uses this email service class. Okay, inside this message sender class, it uses the email service class. But email service is, for example, I will take another class called SMS service. SMS service. SMS service also I have same method, public void send data out sending sending SMS. So I want to use SMS service. Then what I need to do? In message sender class, I need to inject SMS service. SMS service. I need to pass argument as SMS service. SMS service. SMS service. By using that instance, we are assign this instance. Next, see, this is the tight coupling. Okay, in Java, if you want to use one class into another class, then we must create an object and we need to change in these ways. Okay, first we need to change variable, next constructor, we need to pass that class name and argument. Sorry, we need to pass argument as a class name and create one instance, and if you have any method, inside that method we need to call this your class method. Next, now create an object for SMS service. SMS service is equal to new SMS service. Now it will sending SMS. Sending SMS. This is the tight coupling. Like this, we without using dependency injection, the process is like this. Okay, without using dependency injection, the process is very difficult. Every time we need to change the field, constructor and method. Inside the method we need to change instance, constructor, field, constructor, and inside the method we need to change. But by using dependency injection, we no need to change anywhere. Just create one class called create IOC container. Okay, create IOC container. How to create IOC container? How to create IOC container?
Application context.
Application context. Application context.
Reference name.
Reference.
First to new annotation.
1 minute. Text. Just a reference. Another one is these are the implementation class of this interface. Okay, here we are successfully created IOC container. After that, it need how to read the data. IOC container, how it reads the data. How IOC container reads the data.
Config class.
Correct. We need to create one configuration class. Yeah, config. How it how we make normal class to configuration class?
Configuration.
At the rate configuration annotation. Next, how we scan the packages?
Component scan.
Correct. At the rate component scan. Inside this, we mentioned base packages equal to our package name. Our package name is arg.example.pring example. Copy this package name. So after creation of IOC container scan this, read this app config.class. We need to give this reading file to IOC container. We need to give the reading file to IOC container app config.class. Then IOC container read this configuration file, send inside this configuration file, it scan these packages. In these packages, we have 4 classes are available. In these packages, we have 4 classes are available. For that, every time creation of classes is very difficult. So I create is called message service. Provide send data. Email service interface have only declaration, but classes must implement. Okay, classes must implement those methods. Implements message service. Next, SMS service also implements this message service. SMS implement this message services. So first we need to, so every time class ni call చేయకుండా to make Java code easy, just in Java way lo we need to first we make loose coupling. How to make loose coupling? By using interface. For that, message service. In main, instead of creating multiple objects, just take reference message service. MS is the object, new email service అయితే email service తీసుకోవచ్చు, ఏదైనా తీసుకోవచ్చు. Okay. Next, ms dot send data. Now it will print send email. Like this, we need to change tight coupling to loose coupling. First we need to change tight coupling to loose coupling. Okay, after that we need to create an IOC container. we need to create an IOC container. IOC container read this class and it scan this base package. So in this package we have multiple classes are available. For all classes, which classes are annotated with @component, for those classes only it automatically create Spring Beans. Okay, for those classes only it automatically create Spring Beans. Next, SMS service component. For this class, it automatically create Spring Bean. Next, we have @message sender. This class also it automatically create Spring Bean. But this message sender class wants to use these classes. Okay, ఈ message sender class అనేది print అవ్వాలంటే, if you want to print message sender class, this message sender class wants to use this email service class or SMS services class. Okay, that means it is the dependent class. Okay, this message sender is the dependent class. Okay, it's either it wants to use email service or SMS services. Either it wants to use email service or SMS services. So for that, private message service, it uses message service field, message service variable. Why field? Sorry, why? Because message service interface implements two classes. Okay, it implements two implementations. చూడండి, it implements two implementations. Those are email service and SMS services. Those are email service and SMS services. So it inject message services. Now I will run the application. See, it throws an compile time error. No unique bean definition exception. No unique bean definition exception. Ante single bean. Ante IOC container wants to create an object for single class. But okay, IOC container ఏంటంటే IOC container wants to create ఈ మెసేజ్ సెండర్ క్లాస్ లో ఏముందో దానికే క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది IOC కంటైనర్ బీన్. ఓకే, బట్ ఇన్ దిస్ మెసేజ్ సెండర్ క్లాస్ ఇట్ యూజెస్ డిపెండెన్సీ యాజ్ ఏ మెసేజ్ సర్వీస్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్. ఓకే, ఈ మెసేజ్ సెండర్ క్లాస్ లో ఇది మెసేజ్ సర్వీస్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ ని డిపెండెన్సీగా యూజ్ చేసుకుంటుంది. బట్ దిస్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ హ్యావ్ మల్టిపుల్ ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్స్. This interface have multiple implementations. So at that time, IOC container facing ambiguity problem. At that time, IOC container facing ambiguity problem. Then how we solve this issue? Yesterday I already told you.
@qualifier.
Correct. Very good. By using @qualifier annotation. సో బై యూజింగ్ @qualifier annotation యూజ్ చేసుకొని ఇక్కడ ఏం పాస్ చేయాలి ఈ పారామీటర్స్ లో? వాట్ we need to pass in this parameters name inside this parameter. ఈ క్వాలిఫైర్ ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ లో మనం ఏం పాస్ చేయాలి ఇప్పుడు?
Class names.
Like
Correct.
which bean to be injected.
ఎవరు చెప్పారు బీన్ అని? కరెక్ట్. మనం ఏంటంటే ఏ క్లాస్ బీన్ ని ఇంజెక్ట్ చేయలేమో ఆ బీన్ నేమ్ ఇక్కడ we need to pass. So actually Spring IOC container automatically creates Spring Beans, right? But it gives naming convention is it gives Spring Bean as class name only. Okay, అంటే Spring Bean ఏ నేమ్ తో క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది అంటే IOC కంటైనర్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. బట్ స్టార్టింగ్ లెటర్ ఫస్ట్ లెటర్ షుడ్ బి స్మాల్. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ లెటర్ అనేది స్మాల్ ఉంటుంది. ఫస్ట్ లెటర్ అనేది స్మాల్ ఉంటుంది. ఆర్ అదర్వైజ్ మనం క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవాలంటే మనం స్ప్రింగ్ ఐఓసి కంటైనర్ కి ఈ నేమ్ తో క్రియేట్ చేయండి అంటే మనం ఇలాగా ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ లో పాస్ చేసుకున్నాం. సారీ, ఇలాగా పెరాన్సిస్ పెట్టి ఆ బీన్ నేమ్ మీకు ఏ నేమ్ కావాలో ఆ నేమ్ ఇక్కడ పాస్ చేస్తే సరిపోద్ది. ఓకే, అదర్వైజ్ ఇట్ ఆటోమేటికల్లీ క్రియేట్ క్లాస్ నేమ్. ఇట్ ఆటోమేటికల్లీ క్రియేట్ స్ప్రింగ్ నేమ్. స్ప్రింగ్ బీన్ నేమ్ ఈజ్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఓన్లీ, but the first letter is small. The first letter is small. అంటే స్ప్రింగ్ ఐఓసి కంటైనర్ స్ప్రింగ్ బీన్ ఎలా క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది అంటే క్లాస్ నేమ్ అయితే ఏది ఉందో అదే నేమ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది, కాకపోతే ఓన్లీ ఫస్ట్ లెటర్ అనేది స్మాల్ గా కన్వర్ట్ చేస్తుంది. లైక్ దిస్ ఐఓసి కంటైనర్ క్రియేట్ స్ప్రింగ్ బీన్స్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ క్లాస్. ఫర్ దిస్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద బీన్ నేమ్ చెప్పండి. స్మాల్ ఎస్ క్యాపిటల్ ఎంఎస్ సర్వీస్. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ చాలా మంది నేను ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇలా చేశాను, బట్ ఇట్స్ రాంగ్. ఫస్ట్ లెటర్ షుడ్ బి స్మాల్, రిమైనింగ్ ఆల్ ఆర్ క్యాపిటల్ ఓన్లీ. అంటే క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఎలా ఉంటే అలానే. సో ఐఓసి కంటైనర్ ఈ నేమింగ్ కన్వెన్షన్ యూజ్ చేస్తుంది స్ప్రింగ్ బీన్ క్రియేట్ చేయడానికి. ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తున్నా? మెసేజ్ సెండర్. సో at the rate message sender I want to SMS. ఇది కాపీ చేసి కంట్రోల్ కాపీ ఇన్సైడ్ దిస్ I want to paste. So this is the constructor. Like this we are injecting one class into another class by using constructor. But for to inject one class object into another class we are using at the rate auto void annotation. Okay, at the rate auto void annotation. ఇప్పుడు రన్ చేయండి. Before run add data dot get bean method dot message sender class dot class name. మెసేజ్ సెండర్. సో ఆ రిట్రీవ్ చేస్తున్న డాటాని మనం ఒక వేరియబుల్ లో స్టోర్ చేయాలి. సో యూఆర్ స్టోరింగ్ వన్ వేరియబుల్. ఏంటి ఇది కంపైల్ టైమర్ వస్తుంది?
Either constructor or at the rate auto-where, both are used at a time.
సో మనం ఏంటంటే ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ఇంజెక్షన్ చేయడానికి we must and shouldly we need to use constructor. ఓకే, స్ప్రింగ్ బీన్ లో మనం ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాం, బట్ సారీ నార్మల్ జావాలో ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాం. వీఆర్ క్రియేటెడ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఇన్ నార్మల్ జావా, but in spring framework we are not creating any object. That's why we need to inject one class into another class. So for that injection process purpose we need to use at the rate auto void annotation. Okay.
Yes sir.
మెసేజ్ సర్వీస్ ఇక్కడ ఇచ్చాను, అందుకే యాప్ డాటా డాట్ గెట్ బి మెసేజ్ సెండర్ dot class. So we need to store this data in one variable. MSS. Print out the next MSS dot send message. Now it will print the output. So before I used variable as the interface, okay, but I need to use message sender. Why? Because we are getting the data in message sender class. That's why I need to take message sender variable. Okay, I need to store in message sender. So Chondi, this is the practically like this. We need to inject one class object into another class by using constructor injection. By using constructor injection. Constructor injection uses the constructor to inject dependency on any Spring managed bean. So here we are using constructor to inject any Spring managed bean. Okay, like this we need to inject one class object into another class by using @autoid annotation and by using constructor based dependency injection. Second point, so before Spring 4.3 version, we had to add an @autoid annotation to the constructor. With newer versions, this is the optional if the class has only one constructor. For example, if I remove this constructor, still we get the response. Why? Because inside this class we have only single constructor. Okay, so that's why Spring IOC container automatically create the bean for this constructor only. If you have multiple constructors, then Spring IOC container facing ambiguity problem. That is the issue. Okay, before 4.3 versions in your project, if you have multiple constructors, then must and surely we need to use @autoid annotations. In your project, if you have single constructor, @autoid annotation is optional. Okay. Next point is when we have a class with multiple constructors, we need to explicitly add the auto-add annotation to any one of the constructor so that Spring knows which constructor to use to inject the dependencies. But in Spring framework in latest versions, if you give multiple constructors is there, we are facing still we are need to face that ambiguity issue. Okay, see, now I will create multiple constructors. Message sender, private message service, SMS, copy just I will copy this one. Copy. Comma message service, next SMS service. Again we need to assign this argument to this field, this dot SMS service equal to SMS service. Send data. Okay, now here I am taking two constructors. At this time we need to explicitly use @auto-add constructor. Otherwise we are getting some issues. See, here we are not using @autowide constructor. I will run this example. See, we are facing initialization. No default constructor found. Okay, no default constructor found. Why? Because here it giving ambiguity problem. For the default constructor means we need to either annotate it with @autowide. Now I will give both the constructors to @autowide annotation. I will run the Here it's throwing found constructor with required @autowide annotation already. Public corporate example message sender message service. In this package it found two annotations. Again it throws compile time error. Why? Because IOC container faces some ambiguity problem. Okay. Here now I will use @autowide annotation for only this constructor. Now see. Again it giving same error. Why? Because now this process is not working. See, message service available single match bean but found two. Okay, IOC container expecting single bean. Okay, IOC container expecting single matching bean, but here it found two beans. Okay, it found two beans. That's why message center. This process is also not working. Then how we use multiple constructor means in current Spring framework it is not accepting. Just email service at the qualifier to pass email service comma same. Rate or directly we can pass message service SMS service. We are assigning this email service value to this field and this SMS service value to this field. Now we will use @autowide constructor. We will use @qualifier annotation for
qualifier
both. The SMS email service for this email service. Service. See, sending email, sending SMS. Now it's working fine. That means in recent Spring works, I don't know why it is coming that error, but previously before 2 months it's working fine. But Now it changes some versions. Now instead of creating multiple constructors, we just using create one constructor and pass multiple arguments. Okay. Instead of creating multiple constructor, create single constructor. Inside this constructor, we use @ qualifier for multiple classes like this. Okay. So that's about constructor injection. Any doubt? Hello? Constructor injection uses the constructor to inject dependency on any spring managed bean. Okay, next, just forget about these 2 points. Why? Because in spring latest versions it's not working. Instead of these points, remember this point. So instead of creating multiple constructors, just create one constructor and use inside this constructor we will use multiple times @ qualifier annotation. Okay, this is all about constructor based dependency injection. In tomorrow class I will explain about setter based dependency injection and field based dependency injection. If you have any doubts, ask me, otherwise I will ask. Sahiti.
Yes, sir.
How many ways of dependency injections are there?
3 ways, sir. Constructor injection, setter injection, and field-based injection.
By using which annotation we are injecting one class object into another class?
Auto white annotation.
Okay.
Along with qualifier.
No. Qualifier means it avoid confusion. Okay, it avoid confusion between multiple beans of same type. But auto-void is used to inject one class object into another class. But qualifier purpose is different. It avoid confusion between multiple beams of same type. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next. Manjunatha. Manjunatha. K. Priyanka.
Sir.
MBK అంటే భార్గవ.
Yes.
Okay, what is the use of @ auto-void annotation?
It's automatically inject the dependencies.
How to create IOC container?
With the help of application context.
How many types of IOC containers are there?
2 types, sir.
What are they?
In context and bean factory.
Correct. Application context and bean factory. What is the main difference between application context and bean factory?
Application context have some more features comparing with bean factory.
Correct. Application context has some more features like internalization and AOP features, security, like that. It has some more features. get it. How to make normal class as a configuration class?
@configuration annotation.
Correct. What is the difference between Java based configuration? MBK. Bhargav.
Bro, no internet, bro.
What is the difference between Java configuration and annotation based configuration? Anyone?
Java means we have to do everything by using annotation configuration. Spring will inject everything.
Annotation based configuration అంటే
Using
ఏంటి